here.
Not sure he's here.
Okay, so he isn't here. So, Mr. Guines?
Amen.
And Mr. Tisdale, if you'll lead us in the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now we will go to our presentation agenda. Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. Before I go on to read a proclamation, I want to ask you to spread the expenses of the Biloxi travel credit card to the minutes, okay? Now, we've got a special presentation. Joe, you want to come up and ask? He's going to have to come up here too. Mark, 33 years, that's a third of a century.
Whenever you finish this. As presented.
We all are very appreciative of the service and the dedication. Family and to his family and to his department and Joe here, we want to say, Mark Andrew Dronay, Sr., after a 33-year career of service in the Biloxi Fire Department, is retiring as Assistant Chief of the department. And whereas during the course of his career, where he rose through the ranks to achieve a leadership position in the Biloxi Fire Department, Mark has distinguished himself as a dedicated by-the-book taskmaster. Mark began working in the Biloxi Fire Department as a firefighter on January 6, 1988. He was named Fire Inspector in June of 1996, Deputy Chief for Fire Prevention in April 2002, Interim Fire Chief in March 2013, and Assistant Fire Chief in July 2013. Whereas Mark's career has been highlighted by a number of awards for merit and valor. The Biloxi Elks Lodge 606 named him Firefighter of the Year 1991. He received the Chief's Medal for actions during Hurricane Katrina in 2006. And Keystone Federal Credit Union named him the entire Biloxi Fire Department as First Responders of the Year in 2017 for his response to the train bus accident on March 7, 2017. Mark also received the Fire Department's Significant Event Award and Medal of Merit for the same incident. Now, therefore, I, Andrew Fofo Gillich, Mayor of the City of Biloxi, in recognition of Mark Donay's service to the city, to the Biloxi Fire Department, and the citizens of Biloxi, do hereby proclaim June 10th, 2021, last day on the job, Mark Donay Senior Day. Congratulations, Mark. Would you like to say something? Okay. Good. Good. All right. Yeah. All right. Very good.
Well, he gave me the mic, so here I go. It's been a great career. Had my ups and downs, and there's been more good times than bad, I can tell you. I learned a lot, met a lot of people, and I'd like to thank my wife for standing by me. Sorry. It's kind of emotional leaving this place. And I just wish I was half the firefighter my son has become. So keep doing what we do. And I love all you guys. It's been great. And I had a big speech to tell you, and I just can't get it out. So thanks again.
Thank you, Mark.
Mayor. Thank you, City Council.
Mr. Mayor, that concludes concludes my report.
All right, and I don't believe we have any departmental reports, so we will, yes, we do. Chief Boning has a guest today.
Yeah, thank you. I'll just take a minute of your time. Jack is here tonight to announce the Are You Ready video and to announce that he has a new trading card. So we wanted to bring him out here on this first day of hurricane season to remind the citizens of Biloxi to prepare. It's on BTV starting tonight, the program. I think it's 45 minutes, and it talks to a lot of good people. I want to introduce our city emergency operations manager, Chief Geyser, Nick Geyser. Stand up, please. He is our the city's emergency management person for the liaison to the county. So he manages all of the storm preparations and everything for the city. So if you would, please make sure you get a trading card and please prepare. Hopefully we won't have anything this year, but we just want to make sure everyone is prepared. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chief.
Thank you, Chief. We will now move to our council reports. Mr. Lawrence?
Yeah, we had the Blessing of the Fleet this weekend. The tradition they keep going since 1929. It's a good thing. You know, sometimes you don't have as many boats as you like, but they did have quite a few with decorators, so they made it look good in the water. A nice crowd on the water, around the hotels and everything. So it was a good thing for the Blessing to keep that going. Another thing, we had the big fishing tournaments coming up this weekend in June, and with the weather stays like it is, not too windy, I hope, but they said the billfish, these short-term fishing tournaments, they bring in a lot of people, a lot of money. I think we had the problem we have right now, there's so many boats coming in for the billfish. Since they didn't have it last year, we were having a hard time putting them somewhere. But that's a good problem.
That's a good problem.
But I mean, that's a big event coming up this weekend. And the fireworks at Margaritaville was, once again, a big hit, 9 o'clock. You know, and then at 11:11, they had the fireworks at the baseball game. It was behind a few hours. But that was pretty neat. Lit up the sky at 9 o'clock and 11 o'clock. So it was great for this weekend. A couple things I noticed we have like Mark Ordinance retiring, and they have 2 policemen retiring, you know, buying their firearms, whatever. How many people have retired in the last year in the police department and fire department? And are we looking at replacing?
Yeah.
10? And then we have application to replace. I mean, you know, we got to replace these, just like the firemen, you know,
They're
we
in the
can't.
budget, and he's in the process of evaluating the applications, yeah.
So it's 10 policemen, okay. So Mark, how about the police department, the fire department, Mark, how many people retired out of the fire department? Or you come back out with the dog, can you handle it by yourself now?
You have about 9.
In the last year, we've had 6 retired.
Okay.
Put a few hours, do it overtime. We do it overtime.
All right, thank you.
That's it? You sure?
Now, well, we'll come back in a minute.
Mr. Guines?
Yeah, I want to congratulate you, Mark. 33 years is a long time, coming all the way from Howard Street. I wanted to ask about the trash picking up for Pelican Waste. Are we having any issues with them lately? I've been getting a lot of calls.
We've, we had a meeting at the Utility Authority last, I think 2 weeks ago, not the past 2 Thursdays ago. They've staffed there. They've gotten replacement trucks and a couple of walk-on trucks as well as the claw trucks. So they should be back up to snuff. The questions that, other jurisdictions were talking about was where it was placed has been a problem. I know up in our ward, it's, because it's between trees and where, maybe at a vacant lot, they're instructed not to pick that up. If it's not obvious, that's in front of an address that's spoken, but there are temporary issues as far as having a couple of trucks down. It seems to have been resolved, but I'll write down and we'll figure out specifically. In the past, if Pelican couldn't get it in a timely manner, we sent Billy Ray, and we tend to do the same thing at any ward. So. No. Yeah, especially around the. Yep.
The other thing is, Paul, I can get with you later this week. There's issue with the resident that we probably require us to look at alleviate some of the chain orders that that concludes my.
Thank you, Mr. Gines. Ms. Newman?
Congratulations, Mark. We're going to miss you. And Felix, I've been having a lot of issues too with waste in our area, and Allen Lane, every time I contact him, he gets a truck right out there, so maybe you need to contact him.
All right, thanks, Ms. Newman. Mr. Deming?
Mr. Mayor, the date you contacted me will be good for me today. I didn't call you back.
Perfect. Yep.
If you would, when you speak with Mr. Leonard, please have him call me. We need to get scheduled that drive-through of my ward regarding the streets that we wanted to do. We've talked about it the past couple meetings. Last question. This year we canceled the Mardi Gras season. Is there any way we can cancel the hurricane season?
Yeah, we can try. Let me think about that.
Nothing.
Ask, I guess.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to congratulate Mr. Dronette, and I know that's the demands of the job. Sometimes I'm sure felt overwhelming and probably were overwhelming at times, but it's also the same for your family as well when you're on duty. So we appreciate their patience and support as well. Good luck to you, Mark. The only other item I have is Mercury Lane. Mercury Lane, probably one of the shortest streets in the city of Biloxi, 2 short blocks long, and the block closest to the northwest entrance and exit at Maison d'Orleans. The trash, when it's picked up and a month goes by, and it's just litter, and it's thrown out of car windows right there. So it tends to accumulate. I was by there today. And it just, I don't know, we can beg and plead with the management of the apartments. It's not the residents, because none of the residents are going in and out of that entrance, but it's just, it builds up quick. It's usually plastic bottles and just paper products, that kind of stuff. So probably needs to be added to somebody's schedule, maybe once a month, or just look at it and send a crew through. But that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tisdale. Mr. Glevin?
Thank you. Mark, congratulations as well. I've had the pleasure of working with you in many businesses and hotels, going through those inspections, and very thorough of what you do, and you certainly use professional care, and we're certainly going to miss you, a lot. And my wife, I think you and her graduated from Biloxi. She sends her congratulations as well. She thinks the world of you too. Also, hope everybody had a great Memorial Day weekend on the coast. It looks like, our visitors and tourists were enjoying themselves immensely. I know we've touted many times during these meetings. It looks like we're having a successful year, and the Memorial Day weekend was also indicative of what we're experiencing, and we anticipate it continuing through the summer, but really big numbers, Mayor.
Yeah, Councilman, I was getting ready to ask, do you feel it was as good as April?
Yeah. Without divulging too much, we shattered some records. We shattered May records all across our hotels. In 2018 and 19 were some big numbers, and we certainly saw those numbers go up and beat those numbers. So we're rebounding nicely, and we hope it certainly continues. Speaking of trash, I got one to report too. There's an elderly lady that lives on the corner of Brody Road and Pelican Bayou. She's recently widowed. I think I turned that in actually about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and that bag is getting ready to rip. There's some debris there. She said she did call Pelican Waste and our waste disposal, and both of them pointed the finger at the other one to pick it up. I probably can go pick it up, Mayor, if I need to, but if Public Works is in that area, if they can just scoop that up, that'd be great. If not, I'll get to it. What else? And I know Councilman Deming wanting to cancel hurricane season, but it's certainly a reality, so we have to get prepared, for it. We've certainly had our share of hurricanes over the past several years, and we'll roll up our sleeves and get ready for anything that comes our way, but we're certainly hoping it is a quiet season, but we'll see. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Glavin. A couple of things. First, congratulations, Mr. Dronette, on your retirement. I'm sure you're just going to sit at home all the time and never. Congratulations. Also, I forgot to do this. I need a motion to accept the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Have a first from
That
Mr.
works.
Glavin and a second from Mr. Lawrence. All in favor? 7-0. All right. And just to echo what several people are saying, I also have a question, but there are piles of debris that aren't getting picked up. And is there some type of size that, on a tree that they don't pick up or something like that? Because, I've called in and they said, well, that's bigger than what is in our contract. I guess a tree that's been cut up, that someone cut up and put out by the road. Is that a thing?
I'm sure there's a consideration, and I'll talk to Pelican Waste and see if that's happened. They kind of drew the line at the utility authority about, if a contractor went and did some work at the house, and part of their price is that if you put it on a curve, I'll charge you less. That's an issue. That's a problem. And so we're trying to get that worked through. But it didn't say specifically the cubic yards, but the size, of what they're trying to pick up with that claw is what I think you're probably asking about.
And I know, and so if it is a resident, just for instance, if it is a resident that puts it out there.
Themselves.
And their claw doesn't pick up, I know their trucks are bigger than ours, so what's the answer to that? Does that become the homeowner's responsibility?
I think so, to cut it up where it can be picked up, but I'll get the answer.
I just have a situation like that, so I need to, and like Dixie said, Allen Lane always does a good job of getting them out if they don't pick up a pile or a street gets missed on the trash or something like that.
The owner, Ronnie, came 2 weeks in a row. We had a special meeting at the utility authority, and they really, Marvin Ladner was, had a lot of issues in the county as far as Pelican Waste, but they responded terrifically, and I think, with the additional manpower, equipment, and dedication. So if we bring it to their attention, I fully expect them to take care of business, right? And we will.
Okay, I appreciate it, and that's all I have.
Can I say one thing?
Yes, sir.
About the Pelican Waste? Them being down 2 trucks has nothing to do with our contract.
Well, I understand that, and they understood that too. They actually, like I said, the owner came, as well as the local guy, and they responded, and again, everybody was appreciative of what they did, and they want to be a long time, and they'll put whatever it takes to respond. We made point out to a couple of things, like as Councilman Barrett said, but we'll do that. But I'm not concerned about not getting the service. We're just going to point out where they need to be and what obstacles that might have been thrown away.
Yeah, because there's been a lot of cleaned up, and like everybody says, there's a lot of debris on the streets, and it's not being picked up fast enough. It's always about a week or 2 weeks behind before they pick it up. So, but the contract says pick up on Fridays and Saturdays, and they should be picking us up. And if they don't have enough trucks, then they need to go get more trucks.
I think that's
the
what they're doing.
contract And if we cut their pay, we don't have enough trucks, we pay them the same amount of money.
Well, they do have enough trucks, and we'll make sure they respond at this point in time, and that we'll have enough staff to address those things. I think the problem that they had, especially in other municipalities where they didn't have as good of Zeta cleanup contracts, and there was a lot of stuff left over from the particular jurisdictions. So it left a lot from for Pelican Waste to kind of pick it up, especially loose debris, and that was the biggest complaints. But we'll connect with both Alan as well as the folks from Pelican and make sure we get them on track again.
One last thing, Nathan, Mark, it's great that you're retiring. 2.5 weeks you'll be back at work because your wife is going to run you out. She's going to run you right out of the house. Get out of here.
All right. All right, we'll now move to our citizens' comments, public agenda. We'll have a total allotted time of 45 minutes. Each person will be allowed 3 minutes to speak when you come forward. Please sign in and state your name. Is there anyone on the left side, my left side, your right side of the room that would like to speak? My left side, your right side. Please come forward. Please sign in at the table and state your name.
Y'all have any questions? I guess you call me back up when we get to
Yeah,
that.
whenever we get to that, if we have any, we'll call you up.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else on my left side, your right side? Anyone on my right side, your left side? Anyone in the back? All right, there are no more comments. Citizens' comments are closed. We'll now move to our policy agenda. Item A.
Ordinance amending Chapter 20 regarding low-speed vehicles.
So moved.
All right, we have a first by Mr. Lawrence, second by Mr. Guines. This is a first reading. We'll move to Ordinance B.
Ordinance to amend the land development ordinance to designate landmarks for 646 Water Street and 560 Howard Avenue.
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a first by Mr. Lawrence, a second by Mr. Glavin. It's also a first reading. We'll now move to our ordinance C.
Ordinance to amend the Biloxi Code of Ordinances for the fireworks.
All right, this was originally moved by Mr. Lawrence and Mr. Glavin. Any
I
discussion?
guess my question now, that this was in December, but then we tabled it again in January, and now it's June, and I hadn't seen anything written on this. What y'all changed, what y'all did? I think this ought to be tabled until we all get that information so we can look at it, then vote on it in the next meeting. Because it took us 6 months to get here.
But let me clear up, Councilman Barton, we've been looking at the different things that need to be, like when you can actually fire. Peter, correct me if I'm wrong. Doing at a certain time doing New Year's Eve, at a certain time doing 4th of July, and New Year's, which is 2 or 3 days. So I think this is an effort to kind of get everybody in line, get everything in line. There's some things that we looked at in the fire department asked us some things about putting enclosed fireworks, but there's a public safety deal part of this where public can't get to those fireworks to these crazy times we're in. I think that's part of this resolution, Mike, Peter, is that right?
Yeah, the history of this was it went to the Planning Commission and they made a report and made some recommendations. It went on for first reading and it got tabled, subject to call. And with 4th of July coming up, it came to look at it again. And essentially, after meeting with Chief Boney and making sure he was comfortable with the original Planning Commission language, essentially this is adopting basically all of the report of the Planning Commission with a few kind of clerical or typo clarifications and clarifying when the main thing, like right now, you cannot legally shoot off a firework on 4th of July, anywhere in the city. And it's a law enforcement problem for the chief of police as well. Like either make it illegal everywhere or allow it to be done on certain days. So it's being allowed anytime on the 4th of July, on New Year's Eve from 6 p.m. to 1 a.m., and then during Tet, the Dragon Dance. And that requires a special permit. So the other change, and these were all changes in the Planning Commission's report, within fireworks that are sold within a tent, we added language. It can still be done in a tent. The tent has to be flame retardant. We added that language from the Planning Commission. But also the fireworks themselves should be in a secure caged-in kind of enclosure. And if somebody comes into the tent, they would purchase it inside the tent with a point of sale, rather than having loose bushel baskets and shells full of fireworks. So acknowledge the point that it has been on the table for a number of months, but the intent is to try to get this in place before, or in a reasonable time, with 4th of July coming up.
I just think just need to be tabled and looked at, and we can vote on it at the next meeting. But I mean, you know, you just said about 6, 7 different things that y'all changed already. I mean, I don't know what else is in there. And this thing has not been an easy thing anyway. Everybody wants to get it done, but it's just the way it's been dragging out. And now you said all of a sudden the time issue. I mean, we've been sitting on the thing for 6 months. So I mean, the time issue, y'all had this settled before now.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, that's up to the rest of the council. I just think it's something that needs to be looked at a little in depth to me.
Yeah, well, this resolution, it attaches what the Planning Commission's recommendation was, and it attaches what after meeting with the fire department and after going through things, what the final words are. So there are a few tweaks here and there, but right now there are no rules, and anyone who shoots a firework on the city of Biloxi technically, you know, is breaking the law.
Yep, I understand that, but you know, these 7 people sitting up here, we don't want to put these things into effect. So we need to make sure the right things they have to be put into effect. And that's my purpose of looking at it again, where you can actually read through it. The rest of the councilmen, what they think, that's just my opinion.
Okay.
So I have you have a motion on the table or a motion to table?
I would do that.
All right, all in favor? All opposed? All right, we have a 4-3 vote to table, subject to call.
Subject call.
All right, we'll now move to our policy agenda, a resolution D.
Resolution to grant final subdivision plat approval for Allenwood Estates subdivision for property located at John Lee and Wash Bayard Road.
I'll move it.
All right, I'll second.
Jerry, you want to give us some background on this development? Corner of Lorraine, right?
No, it's the corner of Wash Bayard and John Lee.
Yep.
Yes, sir. This is a proposal for an 8-lot subdivision. When it came before the Planning Commission, the majority of the discussion had to do with vehicles backing out. These are going to, 7 of these lots face John Lee, and 1 faces Wash Bayard. And there was some concern about the vehicles for the cars backing out into John Lee Road. So the Planning Commission approved it, but with the provision that each of the houses would have to have a turnaround up at the house so that they could back out and come out face first onto the street. So it's a good design considering the property, and we would recommend approval.
Okay. You have anything else?
No.
Okay, I do have a question. It says on here that it's a 7-lot subdivision. but originally it was a 9-lot subdivision. So we've eliminated 2 of those lots?
No, originally it was 9, and it's 8 now. They eliminated one of the lots that were facing Wash Fayard Road.
Okay, so do we have a typo in our resolution?
If it says 7, then yes, because there are 8 lots. You should have a copy of it in your packet.
Well, it says 7.
Okay.
Okay, and then as far as any changes from what was originally done, other than the amount of lots, nothing has changed?
Nothing that we're aware of, no.
Okay.
And we actually made them put the language onto the plat that requires the turnarounds on the driveway, which was the issue.
All driveways are required to have a turnaround to where when the vehicles come out, and that, I remember that was the major concern as well for this subdivision, was the traffic backing out onto Wash Fayard and John Lee. Can you tell me, and just because I'm going to get a lot of questions on this anytime we have something that starts, can you tell me the size of these homes and just a dollar amount, a ballpark figure of what the dollar amounts will be? Yeah, if you don't mind, sir.
Okay.
Yeah. Just a ballpark, range of sizes and a ballpark cost of what they're going to be.
I'm not very familiar with this project. I just started with the company about a month ago. I do know it is 8 lots, though, the development, and I'm trying to remember the actual size. You have a copy of the plot there?
My understanding is that it covers homes 9 lots, and you've seen the size.
Okay.
And they're going to be developing the lots themselves, so.
Yeah, they're very large lots, correct. Now, so I guess the only other question I have is, I guess we just need to fix that in the agenda to state 8 lots instead of 7. Okay. All right, any other discussion?
So what'd you do about the 7, 8, and 9? We went for all these dates, and I mean, you still says 7 all through this thing, never says 8.
Say that again?
Jerry said it was 8 lots. It
Correct.
says 7.
It's
But you're not
scribbler's
passing
error.
anything that says 8, period.
It's 8. It's 8 lots. This is an error in the agenda that they're going to correct.
Scribbler's error, they'll correct it.
Yeah, in the language, it's clear, scribbler's error, they're going to correct it to say 8.
That's a good way to get out of that scriptness error. I like that.
Everywhere else, it states 8.
It
Except,
doesn't say 8 at all in this resolution, anyway.
what's that?
It doesn't say 8 anyway, at all, period.
Everything is?
Everything's 7.
Scribbler's error, take care of it.
They said it reduces from 9 to 7. 8 is never mentioned anyway in there.
I think that,
I don't know if y'all need to change the whole thing or whatever you have to do. I'm really not sure.
The plat that's already been prepared to
The
record.
resolution we passing,
8 lots.
so the resolution we passed says 7.
Right.
So we have to get that straight before you pass anything.
What do you recommend, Peter?
I think the reason they said 7 was this 8th lot is sort of to the east of all the other lots and has a different access way, it looks like. So it looks like it's actually reduced from 9 to 8. So wherever it says 7, I think it should say 8.
So do we amend that, or?
You can amend that right now.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Guines to amend it to say 8. I'll second it. All in favor of the amendment? Okay, now we vote on it as amended. Any other discussion before that? Okay, all in favor on item as amended? 7-0. Thank you. And Mr. Krill, if you could, before we move to the consent agenda, just whenever you find out, if you'll let me know on the size and a ballpark, because it'll just be a question I get multiple times when they start clearing or, going in there doing the work. Thank you. All right, we'll now move to consent agenda. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second? Okay, we have a first by Mr. Tisdale, second by Mr. Guines. Any discussion?
Tiddale's in charge now.
Yeah, on item N, Mr. Abide, this, we're partially rescinding a resolution concerning just compensation. We're removing, I guess, one of the parties, removing any references or making any finding regarding a certain family limited partnership for 2 parcels.
Right, and this is the Maison d'Orleans property, and we had a previous resolution where we withdrew the lawsuit because we were doing a revised appraisal of the fair market value. And so that's already been passed by the council. This was sort of another resolution that we found just floating out there, so we wanted to rescind that one as well.
Gotcha, okay. Thank you.
All right. Mr. Guines? All right, Mr. Lawrence?
I have one on, for the chief, on the bulletproof vest. You have one G at the beginning, and then we have K and L. It looked like to me this is all backwards.
When we first ordered them, there was a difference in how much a capital item was. Last year, that's changed, so we had to go in and amend that also. And then the other one, the third one, is for our half of, I guess it's 50% match.
So the 53,000 is what we putting up?
We're putting up 25,000,
The last one
if I'm
said
not
about,
mistaken.
the last one said 53,000, so we supposed to be putting half of that?
Yes, sir.
And the one before, they had the 25 and 25, but it said 52,000. So the numbers just wasn't adding up.
Yeah.
And I didn't know if the first one, the 79,000 is something totally different? Or
It's
that's
all
the
the
total
same.
amount?
Yeah, it's all the same grant. I don't know why there's a difference there, but it's all the same grant.
Yeah, because I was not trying to be, you had 3 about the bulletproof vest, but you had 3 different prices in all of them. Just trying to see if there's an order or they wasn't in order.
Yeah, I'm
That's
not
all really
bothered.
just trying to straighten it out.
Other than the fact that I know that the capital items, the amount for a capital item went up. Other than that, I'm not sure why there'd be a difference.
Okay, thank you. And on, Jay, for the $1.5 million is what we paid out, $1.5 million what we took in for the Lighthouse Visitor Center.
I think so.
They both come to $1.5 million, so we received $1.5 million from MEMA to take care of what we paid out.
Yeah. No, we probably paid out more. That's what, our 25%, usually, they're gonna be sending us, we're coming up with 7.5% of what we paid out. We sent that, they gave us FEMA's reimbursement plus MEMA's 7.5%. We're coming up with another 7.5 plus whatever it was. So not totally what we paid out, less than what we paid out.
Okay, so I mean, most of the time we had this set up where it was 25%, we paid half of the 25%, so it was 12.5. So where'd you get to 7.5?
Different number on Zeta.
Say again?
It's a different number on Zeta, the different reimbursement. I think it's 7.5%.
Okay. But they had the total repair for the lighthouse was $1.5 million. That's what it said. That's what it cost.
I think that Mike has the details on that, and he's not here tonight. But
Yeah, that's the numbers I was looking at here.
reading it, Mike?
I mean, there's a sheet.
Yeah, there's a sheet in there.
I mean, the sheet attached to the end of the resolution shows the breakdown between insurance and FEMA, MEMA, and then the city's portion. And basically, the city's portion of that 1.5 million, the city's portion is a little over 25,000.
Right. But they both of them totaled to 1.5 million, the total.
Lost, yeah.
What we took in, what we repaired. Okay, thank you.
All right, Ms. Newman? Mr. Deming?
I almost don't want to ask any questions after George's short run, so I'm good.
Mr. Glavin?
I have none.
I have nothing, so I'll call for the question. All in favor of the consent agenda? 7-0, any exceptions?
None.
All right, we'll now move to code violations, code enforcement hearings.
Okay, we sent the pictures over, but I don't see Keith or Nikki here, but I do have pictures I can pass out to show you. Item A on the agenda, Biloxi Marking Products, Inc., 2730 Fernwood Road. This property is still in violation.
He has it, Mr. Krill, he has it.
Okay.
All right. Is there anyone here to speak on behalf of or against Biloxi Marketing Products, 2730 Fernwood Road? All right, if not, this case is closed.
Item B, Stephen P. Leonard and Robert L. Lockett. This is 249 Benaki Avenue, and it's still in violation.
All right. Anyone here to speak on behalf of Steve P. Leonard and Robert L. Lockett, 249 Benaki Avenue? Anyone here to speak against?
Jerry, is anybody living there?
There were some people living in the front house. I spoke with the representative for Mr. Leonard. Mr. Lockett passed away, and there was an agreement between Mr. Leonard and Mr. Lockett. Mr. Leonard was not even aware that Mr. Lockett had passed away, but Mr. Leonard wants nothing to do with it. He and his representative said that if we choose to tear it down, to just go ahead.
Well, I did like a trail or something in the front yard. Is anybody living in that, or it's just empty?
Not that I'm aware of, but if it is, we'll tow that. But all the structures on the property are in really bad shape. There were like some makeshift apartments back in the back.
Yeah, because there's a car froze up in the back. I don't even run, does it? The car?
Yes, sir.
The one that's sitting up the driveway?
Hmm.
Okay.
All right. Anyone else? All right, if not, this case is closed. We'll now move to our routine agenda. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
All right, we have a first by Mr. Lawrence, a second by Mr. Tisdale.
Walt flew in all the way from Van Cleve to make this speech. Walt, come on, Walt. Van Cleve, Mississippi, Jack. 57 Flash, they call him.
Well, we don't have any money in the pipeline yet, but the 1.7 million I reported at our last council meeting is now going to be about 1.953. We had to turn in our checks that we paid Knee Case and Lane Construction from the last meeting. We got them over to MEMA today, and so they'll start processing the 1.953 million.
All right, that's good.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? All right, if not, I'll call for the question. All in favor? 7-0. Do I have a motion to recess?
Second. Move it. We're moving it.
I guess Mr. Tisdale first, second Mr. Lawrence. All in favor? 7-0.